loves, it's Angelica aka Angie B. Welcome to my channel if you are new. If you aren't new, welcome back. In this video, we are going to be talking about the top 5 hairstyles that ruin your hair. Like I said, in this video we are going to be talking all about the hairstyles that you might be doing that are damaging your hair. So if you are interested in knowing more about this and anything else similar, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Hit the subscribe button, it is linked right down there, as well as the bell icon, which just ensures that you guys get notifications every single time I post. Without further ado, let's get straight into the first hairstyle. And the first hairstyle is braids. Now you might be thinking, aren't braids a protective style? How is it ruining my hair? Well, there's different types of braids. Some of them are protective styles and some of them are not. You can be ruining your hair even in a protective style or one that looks like a protective style, but it's not. And the first one is micro braids. Micro braids are not a protective style, okay? They are just a hairstyle and they ruin your hair. The main reason why they ruin your hair is because you get tiny pieces of hair that every single hair is going to be tightly wound into that braid, and the amount of hair is usually not equal to the amount of extra hair that you're going to add onto it, and the weight plus the way it's braided can really be detrimental. And the fact that you're getting tiny pieces of hair every single time you make a part to make a braid is another potential chance you have to be ripping pieces out of your hair or breaking it. And when you do those little braids, first of all, during the braiding process, as you're manipulating the hair, you might be breaking it, and also during the unbraiding process. Also, it's kind of like your own hair because they're so fine, so even when you tie it back and all that, they usually rip out your edges because when they're so tiny, you can braid like 5 braids on one little piece of your edges, and that's when you start getting traction alopecia, and your hairline just keeps going further and further and further. And if you have hair like this, you're probably aware, and instead of stopping and taking a break, you're like, oh, my edges look so bad, so let me just braid them again. It is ruining your hair. The next one is Senegalese twists, which is the same concept as the micro braids and have the same effect, so I'm not going to go through them again. The next one is under braids, tiny cornrows. Now cornrows are a great protective style, but those extremely tightly ones, I think I have a video. I'm going to put it on the screen if I have it right now, but there's this funny video where someone says like, oh, who's going to help her unbraid this? Because the braids are so tiny, and just think about how much hair is being pulled in all those directions, and then during the unbraiding process, that's just such a high risk for your hair to be damaged. And if you don't care about your hair, by all means go ahead, but if you do, which I'm assuming is why you're in this video, you want to stay away from that. And one thing about braids, whether it's micro braids, Senegalese twists, or even cornrows, something that sometimes we don't realize we're causing damage to our hair is when you dip the braids. If you're using like Kanekalon fiber and you want to seal the ends or curl the ends and all that, we usually dip the braids in hot water. But one thing you need to remember is you should only dip the braids up to the point where your hair ends. So if you have a braid, and I show you, like, my hair is like this long, so I should only dip my braid from this point onwards, because if you dip your hair, basically you're dipping your hair in boiling water and it's going to be in the braid, so you won't see any effects. But sometimes when you take the braids out, your hair might be fine, and then a couple weeks later your ends are just breaking off because they are basically boiled, so you want to stay away from that. The last braided hairstyle that can damage your hair is doing braids, whether it's even box braids, which are usually the best out of all the braids, on really short hair. I'm sure you guys have all seen that little braid that's just lying around on the floor somewhere, about to scare somebody, looking like a snake. That will also cause damage to your hair because the weight of the braid is not substantial enough for your actual hair to hold it. So make sure that if you're braiding short hair, first of all, if it's extremely short, just wait a couple weeks. And if it's long enough to hold a braid, just don't put something that's like 82 inches on like a 1-inch piece of hair. The second hairstyle that might be damaging your hair is weaves. Now, the reason why weaves might damage your hair is you forget about your hair because you've got, first of all, the needle going through your hair. So if someone doesn't know how to sew it, they might be breaking your hair as the needle is going through the braids. Second of all, you forget about your hair underneath the weave. So you're just taking care of your weave. You wake up in the morning, you brush it, you flat iron it, you do all that, but you forget you have braids under there. You're not putting any oils on your scalp. You're not moisturizing your braids. That can cause extreme damage. So that one is more of not necessarily the weave damaging the hair, just you yourself doing it because you've forgotten about your hair underneath. Which leads me to my next one, which is wigs. Specifically, frontal wigs. Now, closures can also cause the same damage in the same way that you forget about your hair when it's in a weave. You can also forget it in a wig, but the braids underneath are usually quite similar, so the rules apply for both. But with with a frontal wig, people tend to put glue on the entire perimeter of the edges, and this wigs usually damage the edges most. So first of all, there's no sunlight going there if you wear a wig every single day. Second of all, if you put glue there every single day, it will damage your hair. Not because it's just glue, apart from the part of it coming off your hair. Whether you use an adhesive remover or whatever to loosen the tension, it's still going to cause damage. And putting glue on your edges, even if you're putting it on your forehead, believe me, some of it is still going to go onto your edges. And putting gel on your edges as well every single day, because of that, will also cause damage. Your hair will either be too soft because of being underneath the wig, or too dry because of having too much gel on it. And both are going to cause you to have broken hair because it'll be hard. It's just going to break off. So make sure you're just careful of your hair underneath these hairstyles. The third hairstyle, if I'm still on the right track, is buns and ponytails. Now, I'm talking about the ones where you pull your hair so tight that you have a headache, or you feel like if you sneeze, it's the end of the world. So you have to make sure you have to do your ponytails and all that very, very well. Take cautions, because if you put your hair like in a loose high puff like this, it most likely will not damage your hair. Everything is going to be fine. But I'm talking about the ones where you have to manipulate your hair to comb it down and gel it down. First of all, put tons of gel that might get hard and break. Or just pulling the hair in so many different directions, or in the same direction every single day. So even if you take care of it properly, but if you do a ponytail or a puff in the same place every single day, you'll start to see breakage in the area where you do it all the time, either caused by the hair tie or how you tie your hair. It has almost the same effects as when you braid your hair, where it keeps going up and up and up, and next thing you've got like a ponytail just in the middle, just in the center of your head. I know, okay, it's not funny, but it's funny. You're doing it to yourself. Like, if you have a problem, then I'll feel sorry for you. But if you're doing this to yourself, it's funny, honestly. The next hairstyle is any hairstyle that uses excessive heat. Now, when I mean this, have you ever seen when someone's flat ironing hair and all you can see is like excessive steam? I'm not talking about the little bit of steam that comes because you put on heat protector. No, I'm talking about sometimes you even hear it sounds like your hair is frying. Believe me, that is damaging your hair. And also just using it on a very consistent basis, even if you're going through all the steps, using a heat protector, which you should be using and all that, it might still damage your hair if you're doing it like every single week or even more times than a week. I would suggest you just do this, if you have to, a maximum of once a week. And I only flat iron my hair when it's cold, so basically like twice a year within the 2 cold months. But it is up to you. Also, blow drying. If you blow dry your hair, do it at least on the medium or cool setting. Or if you want to do like a proper blowout and all that, just don't do it too often, because the heat will damage your hair whether you use a heat protector or not. The heat protector just kind of helps. Which leads me to the 5th point, I think, which is hairstyles that require chemical treatments. This includes Brazilian blowouts, relaxers, and hair dyes. Now, I'm not saying don't do it, because I'm not a natural Nazi. I'm not one of those people who comments on relaxed people's videos and be like, oh, your hair looks so damaged, why don't you just go natural? No. Look, you can do whatever you want with your hair. I'm just saying do it in a healthy way. If you're going to relax your hair, I've been relaxed before for most of my life, do not over-process your hair. So where there's already relaxer that's been put, do not overlap that relaxer and put more relaxer, because once your hair is relaxed, there's nothing you can do to make it more relaxed. Like if your ends are frizzy, it's just because your ends are frizzy. You just need to treat them. You do not need to relax relaxed hair. Only relax your new growth. And then when it comes to the keratin treatment, you have to make sure you go to a professional who knows what they're doing, because that can have very, very detrimental effects on your hair. And lastly, hair dyes. Usually if you're using like regular box dye, like a dark color, usually red or black and all that, there's usually not that much of a damaging effect to your hair, especially if you're using something like henna. It can actually help your hair. But if you're using hair dyes on a consistent basis, like you buy black box dye, then oh no, you want to go red, and then you want to do this, and you try and get all these different kind of dyes, even if it's a dark color that's not as bad as bleach, your hair will eventually get damaged. And now leading me into bleach. Bleach is one of the worst ones. It's basically on par with a relaxer if you don't know what you're doing, because unlike a relaxer, at least you will not see color differences if there's an issue. But with bleach, if you don't know how to bleach your hair and you miss certain spots, first of all, it's going to be patchy, and then you say, okay, let me correct the patches. So you go back and correct the patches, and now you've got to the second stage where your hair is orange, and then it's not as blonde as you want, so you bleach it again, and now it's yellow. So now you want to make it white, so you decide you're going to tone it. But then the toner is not enough, so now you've got some ash blonde hair, you've got some golden blonde hair, and now you've paid so much money that you need to go to a professional to fix all your mistakes, and then damage, and more damage. So I would advise for bleach and relaxer, if you're not familiar with those, to go to a professional to do those treatments for you, because you most likely get the best out of them. And now for the bonus. With any hairstyle, whether it is a protective style, also make sure you look at the tools you're using and how to comb your hair, because if you do a protective style or you do a hair that might not be that damaging, but you use the wrong tools, for example, put your hair in a nice high puff, but then you use one of those hair ties that has like pieces of metal or anything that can snag at your hair, even like the plastic, like glue kind of stuff, that can snag on your hair. You have to make sure you use ouchless ties, ones like this, where all the way around it's basically just like rubber. These are the kind of tools you need to use. Use white tooth combs, because you could be doing all the best things to your hair and just damaging it before by using bad combs and using tiny combs, rat tail combs, and bad hair ties. So you just want to make sure that you're cautious of all that and not ruin your hair. Now at this point you might be wondering, wow, you spent all this time just to tell me what I'm doing to ruin my hair, and you're not actually going to tell me what to do to fix it. Well, you're in luck. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel, which is right down there again if you didn't subscribe in the beginning, and hit the notification, because the next video I'm going to be posting is hairstyles you can do that can actually help grow your hair. So I am not leaving you hanging. If you want to see any of the videos that I've done before this, just look on the screen right here. There will be the 2 videos that I previously posted, and you guys can watch that while you wait for me to post another one. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what your favorite hairstyle that ruins your hair is in the comment section below, and I'll definitely respond to all my comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.